Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, in this episode, we're looking at the Grow Tunnel and its current status. Now we're end of May, early June. You can see you're looking at the tomato plants there, and they really have come along a treat. They're probably about 2 foot in height, maybe about 60 centimeters, and there's some nice flower buds on them there. So, all going well. The tomatoes are on the way. Last time we looked at this tunnel, if you look back to the videos there, the Grow Tunnel video, you'll see I think was it April, mid-April, early April, maybe mid-April. And we were using the tunnel at that stage for some nice early colour as we were bringing along young plants and so on and so forth. But mostly the colour is now in the courtyard, as you will have seen from the courtyard update last week. And we're very much in the food mode here with a little bit of colour added in the Grow Tunnel. The tomatoes themselves, mixture of varieties, all growing in tubs and pots. We have to do an actual count of them. I think there is about 15 thereabouts, could be a little bit more. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There's 18 of them. And in comparison to the 60 or 70 we did last year, there's quite a lot less. So be interesting to see the yields that we get this year with less plants, bearing in mind some of those from last year were one truss, so they were very small one truss of tomatoes. So, because I said it last year, I think we could maximise the yields this year with less plants. Now, after saying that, there's great opportunity at this time of year for taking tomato cuttings. And while I'm not going to do it on camera, it is fairly easy to explain in that you take a shoot like so, and you can basically break it. It's a side shoot, so we're going to keep the main leader here. You can take off that side shoot, either cut it or break it, depending on your choice. Put it into water, and typically they'll root very, very quickly. So there's potential here for probably doing another 10 slightly smaller tomato plants. They'll be a little bit behind, but you know they'll yield well. Potting wise, and as I say, they're all in pots. You can see them there. And these have all been potted recently. The pots themselves are those florist tubs that you see flowers in, and we've just made sure that there's holes in them for good drainage, along with some other fixed planting containers. So nice size, nice root ball size there, and going to get the plants off to a fine start. They all will need to be staked or supported in some way. So we'll be doing that as well. And of course some of the bottom leaves will need to be trimmed off to let air through the plants, so to minimise chances of disease and infestations getting in there. So that's, I suppose, the quick version of where we're at with tomatoes. I'll do a slightly slower talk through now, but I know some people just like to dip in and go, okay, where are we at? So that's that particular section done, and now we'll talk about a little bit more about some of the varieties that we have and some of the care that we're going to get before we wrap up towards the end. So you can see, anyway, they're the bigger plants there. I'll show you, they're coming along very nicely. And then we have a nice selection of the smaller growing varieties. And it's normally these smaller growing varieties, these little bush varieties, that actually have the tomatoes that'll form the quickest or the earliest on them. I think this one is Red Profusion. Yeah, it is. So it's a smaller bush variety, 24 inches there or thereabouts, or 60 centimeters, depending on which measurement that you use as they grow. But it's a small little bush one, shooting away there. Plenty of young tomatoes, and with this lovely weather we're getting at the moment, particularly in an enclosed area like this, the heat will hopefully bring them on very quickly, and then redden them, is that a word? Help them turn red, very quickly. That'd be nice to see. Another bush variety, and you can see that they all have labels, because this year, totem, I don't know that variety. It looks like a little bush variety. I'll have to look it up. 30 centimeters apart, full sun. Yeah, high yielding, produces small fruits of flavour, can be grown as a pot or planted into a large container. Yeah, so we'll see about that. I'll look it up to see, is that one to train up, or is it a smaller bushy one? It does look like a small bushy one. The reason that most of the plants have labels this year is because we did very little from seed. We bought most of the varieties, just collected them over a couple of months in the spring. We came across them. There are great advantages in that you don't have to do the care of looking after the seed, or if you've missed that window, that you can buy the plants ready made. The disadvantage, of course, is that you may not get the variety. You may have to settle for varieties that you can get, as opposed to the varieties you want. I think with me this year there was a bit of a challenge, because we did so much last year. With me anyway, the challenge was, I wanted to focus my time on a few other bits and pieces here, and buy some plants. Of course, we'll be collecting seed from them, and then next year we'll see where we're at as well. There's Alicante, again a very strong growing variety, and you can see with the leader there coming up on it. So some nice varieties: Shirley, Alicante, Red Profusion, Totem, and what have we got here? Super Sweet. Oh yeah, Super Sweet's always a super little one. Variety as well. Super Sweet Cherry Tomatoes. So some nice mixed varieties. This particular beastie here is not called Alstroemeria White like it's on the label. It's a self-seeded one into what was the white Alstroemeria pot that died over winter, but the tomato plant decided it was going to take over the compost instead, so who are we to take away from that? Plenty of colour there from this courgette. Green bush. No sign of actual courgettes there just yet. Plenty of male flowers throwing out there. I don't see too many female flowers coming along just yet. Or maybe, hang on a second. There's one there. So we'll see where we're going with those. I did some repegging of the Mypex here yesterday. It was particularly worn, shall we say. So it was about time it needed to be done. I still need to trim off that potential trip hazard there, and we'll get that trimmed. And that's also green bush in the courgettes, whereas this particular one is Ambassador, and you can see it's actually growing away, and this one does have courgettes on it, so very nice to see. Only got into these tubs the past couple of days. They were in 2-litre pots, so some of the sleeves are slight yellowing on them where the energy is growing or going into the fruits, so I want to help them along. I did say we have spots of colour, so you can see lovely spots of colour. There's ones that Judith picked. The scent from them is fantastic in the tunnel here, and of course colour among our plants does help to attract insects or pollinators, which is very beneficial. Sorry, I'm trying to see what variety that one is there, and I can't. It's a Dianthus anyway, of sorts, and you can see there Surfina growing on there, very nice again. And then more tomatoes, smaller bush ones. I did buy at the time 3 tumblers, so I think that's that one there, and there's one there. And the reason I bought 3 was one for us, and then one for my dad, and then one for my brother. But when I was out with Dad afterwards, and I was like, oh, did you get any tomato plants? He was like, yeah, sure. Your brother got one of the tumblers, and he brought one over for me as well, or a couple over for me. And I was like, that's gas. So we have 3 tumbler plants, which is fantastic. You can see them growing and shooting away there. So that's good to see. I don't know, does that one have a label? We did find one random label. This one is Roma, and you can see it is slightly starved looking because it did need to be put on, I'd say about 2 weeks ago, but sure, we can only do so much. And we're in the courtyard doing all the stuff there. These guys waited a little bit extra time. Red Profusion again, and 2 more varieties. And what have we got? Beefsteak. Oh yeah, they're always a fine tomato, aren't they? And super sweet again. So some nice varieties there. Some of them the smaller bush types, some of them the larger. And we'll be carefully weighing them, just seeing how we fare this year versus last year. I think my first objective anyway is certainly to get the earliest. How early can we get one that's red? So looking at some of them that are in fruit, and any bets please? A nice clematis we got at discount price. I've seen them on sale between, I don't know, is it 18 euros and 25 euros, and it's like cheapest, they're expensive. I think we picked this one up for 5 or 7 euros there or thereabouts, and I was like, yeah, buy that, bring it on. And not forgetting penstemon in the corner, lots of shoots on it as well. So you know the way we have to-do lists. Well, here's our to-do list. We put in the garlic quite late this year, and they grew as young plants, and then they died back into these small little bulbs. So you can see some of them we'll use and some of them we'll keep. Not quite seed, but some of them we'll keep for sowing next year, because we did have quite a lot left over from last year. So to sort through those, decide what we're going to keep, and do the rest. A few shrubs there for potting on. Bleeding Heart, is it Lamprantus or Dicentra, depending on who you're talking to. Coming back on there after producing beautiful flowering. Look at those sweet peas. Again, there was a pack we got, and I think there's about 10 plants in there. I don't know how we're going to untangle them all, but they do need to go into bigger pots in order for them to make the next step into flowering. But that's a job to do. And then the peppers, we still have plenty of frozen peppers from last year, so these guys are slightly later, that's for sure. And yeah, sure, we'll see what we'll do with them. They should come into flower and into fruiting once we put them on. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, see if the camera will pick this up. There's some flower buds in there, you can see. So there's lovely heat in there, which is very suitable for the peppers. But we do need to pot them on. I'm not going to split them up. There's 2 or 3. Slugs and snails, of course, did help by chewing the tops of some of them. So there's a natural inclination for them to bush up, whether they wanted to or not. There was some were munched, and some seed potato that are trying to grow, the poor things. So they've been taken out from the corner they were hidden in to remind us to crack on. We're putting those into a few pots. I think they'll still grow quite well. And there are various vegetables scattered around the place. There are some broccoli that we have planted on, and there's a few other bits as well we won't get to today. And some potatoes that we've been keeping indoors. Collapsed over a little bit, gone a bit too leggy, but sure, that's fine. It's all part of the growing fun. So that's a little bit of what's going on in the grow house here. We do have the glass house and the greenhouse as well, but that's another day's work, as I say, or another day's video. Anyway, thanks as always for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Comments are always helpful and insightful, and sometimes good to chat there. So do definitely leave comments. How are your tomatoes coming along? And are you looking at any potential fruits yet, as we are here? Anyway, all the best for now. Talk to you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.